Jane?
I'm ready.
Okay.
응답하라,
Yeochin.
Go to the into the 시.
Back to the kyung to the chu.
Do you remember two of our most popular episodes was Love After Divorce?
Yeah.
And that came about because one of our listeners asked if we were watching it at all, and
That's right. We were asked to watch the show and talk about it. Yes.
Yeah. Well, the same listener asked us to talk about our relationships with our in-laws. And I have the question here. She says, I would love to hear both of you talk about your relationship with your in-laws, whether positive, negative, or neutral. I'm Korean and got married recently and have super Korean in-laws. And while in many ways it's easier because I understand why they are the way they are, it's also another source of stress and pressure because I can't just play dumb.
Oh.
Yeah.
This one's for you.
Loaded.
This one, damn. It's like, do they know you or do they know you?
You know, right? Okay, so the part I want to talk about first is when she says, because I can't just play dumb. Yes, you can.
Oh.
Yes, you can. If they don't say it outright. The thing that gets me is like the indirect.
But you know what?
Yeah.
Okay, no. Let's go back.
Okay, we can
Your
go back.
frustration.
Yeah.
You can play dumb, but for the longest time, didn't you think that you couldn't play dumb?
Yes. So this is me.
Now, this is you experienced.
Yes.
Coming to the realization
Correct.
that
11 years
can,
later that I can
You
play
didn't
dumb.
know
Yeah.
when you started.
Right.
You got to that point with years of experience. So this listener sounds like they're in the beginning stages of where you were.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, your frustration was that because you're Korean and they're Korean, you can read all the...
And that it should be my job.
You felt, yes.
Yeah.
And they broke you. They broke you to the point where, you know what? I don't care to read in between the lines anymore.
Yeah.
That you got so tired of it.
I think so. They broke me to the point that I just had to rebuild myself. And
or you know that Korean saying, listen with one ear and let it out the other.
I mean, how many times have I heard that from my mom as advice to do?
Yeah, like, because so many things are said in Korean culture, especially by women to women.
Women to women. And that is just the eternal irony. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why? When you understand as a woman, an older woman of the previous generation, you understand what you had to deal with. Yeah. So, I mean,
So would you say yours, so the listener asked, is it positive or negative? How would you rate your relationship with your in-laws?
On a scale of like 1 to negative
5.
1 to 5?
Yeah.
Okay, I would say probably 3.
Oh, that's higher than I thought.
Neutral. Yeah.
But there were points where it was 1.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I would say those were in the earlier years of marriage.
Which is where I think this listener is at.
Yes. Because that's
peak
the
frustration.
Stage, that's the stage where you're really getting to know each other.
Yeah.
Granted, like you didn't do that before marriage.
Right.
So my relationship with my in-laws before marriage is I really didn't
know them.
I know them because I didn't spend a lot of time with them. Ben and I were long distance.
Yeah, but they never objected to your marriage.
No, they never objected to our marriage.
They were probably happy that Ben married a Korean woman.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, again, like another assumption that we never talked about. Like it's not ever something that came up. It wasn't.
You know what?
That wasn't a struggle for us.
To be honest, though, I feel any Korean family that had you coming in, they would have been pleased. Like you are.
You would think.
Right. I bet it was.
I think so. I think they assumed I would be a certain way.
Yes.
Because I show up a certain way when I'm, when I was with them. And that is, just the kind of what is expected. So a respectful posture because because of who they are.
Well, even me, I told you that I was impressed by you because in the outer image, you fit the bill of like 참 like 얌전하고 like very poised, and you are that still. 참 얌전하고 like 이쁘고 pretty and like very feminine energy, right? But what I was impressed by and what I love you for is that as we got closer, you're very assertive. And you're very like, even though you have that image, you know what you want. And you like to be in control of things.
Yes.
We were just joking about that in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Because you like to be in control.
Because I said I don't want to take any mind altering.
Yeah.
Substances.
Oh, that's right. You're like, no drugs for me because I'm in charge. And I was like, well, I don't like to be in charge. I like to climb around. So drugs for me. We weren't doing drugs. No coke in the bathroom, guys. But yeah, because I think you have a very feminine, gentle exterior, but in interior, you are very strong-headed. And I think it probably came as a shock to them.
I think it did.
Yeah.
I think it really did.
Because what in-laws don't want, or what they want from daughter-in-laws, especially like Korean mother-in-law, someone that's just gonna like do everything they say.
Yeah.
Make all the suggestions and expect you to follow them. And you were but excuse me?
No.
Yeah.
So I to give a little background, before I got married, I was already living on my own.
Yes.
For about 4 years.
Yes.
And so,
and you guys were long distance.
Long distance. So Ben was the one who was living at home with his parents all throughout until he came and moved to Michigan, and then we just moved into my apartment. But I had already had my own kind of routine, lifestyle. I was working full time.
You did not need a man.
I didn't need a man. Like, he came. Yes, he came and he enriched my life.
Yeah.
But,
Ben, she needs you. She needs you. Don't get it twisted.
Yes, I needed the companionship. And, I needed that. But I was fine on my own in that I was comfortable and confident.
And you loved your independence.
I loved my independence. So once I got married, what I realized was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
If I knew this is what I was going to deal with, I wouldn't have been pushing to get married sooner. I would have
You know what? That's so interesting.
Just being in a long distance relationship, and I would have enjoyed having my own reign a little bit longer.
This brings up a really good point, especially because you did grow up in a good Korean Christian background, right?
Christian household.
Okay, so this is I feel like, especially amongst the Korean American church going group, would you advise couples that are on the way to marriage to live together before consummating the marriage?
I don't know if I would advise it. I loved having my own place to come home to.
But would you want, how, remember, like, we had this discussion, like, once you got married, it was so eye-opening.
Yes, I think that's fine. Yeah, absolutely. I get what you're saying. Once you're, like, committed in that.
Yeah, do you think it's good? Because this is a question that I've heard from, like, Christian, especially couples that are like, we can't live together. We have to be married first.
Right. And it's like, it's so arbitrary.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, it's very arbitrary, because why would you not?
Yeah, why?
It's
like
healthy.
Okay, like a car, right? You don't just buy a car without test driving it.
Yeah.
Okay, now I sound like a douchey guy.
Yeah. Before I pay. Yeah.
Listen, it has to feel good to be in the driver's seat.
But there was a lot of stuff that I learned after the marriage. Not to say that I regretted it, but
that you wish you knew.
Nice. Yeah, I think the way that our so we were long distance, and so it was a very cold turkey, long distance to wedding to then being
this is your
married.
family now.
Yeah. So the first time I ever felt whoa with my in-laws is that they we lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. because I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment.
Right.
And it's just one other person coming to my apartment. We had no rush to break the lease and go to a bigger apartment.
How old were you?
27.
Okay. That's when I got married.
Yeah. Not young, not old.
Yeah,
right.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was working full time. Ben was in grad school full time. So it was a perfect place for us to, and mind you, we were living in Michigan, out of state from both of our parents in California. So it was kind of like an exciting time to kind of do life on our own. Finally,
yes, newlyweds, fun.
And Ben had, in dental school, you have a white coat ceremony when you first start.
Right.
And you take the oath and all of that. And so it's kind of like lots of pomp and circumstance. So we decided to fly his parents out for that.
Okay.
And I was kind of thinking about this, and I was contemplating it with my mom. I called her on the phone and I'm like, hey, I really want them to come, but I'm afraid that it might not be enough space in our 1-bedroom apartment for them, because where would they stay?
Sleep?
Yeah. I said if they could sleep in our room, but then
so weird.
We would have to sleep in the living room, and then we would share a bathroom. And I don't know if I'm comfortable with that, or my first thought was, I don't know if that will be good enough for them.
Yes, that's what
my mom said.
Or if you didn't offer up the room, would they be offended?
Yeah.
Yeah, all sorts of questions.
All sorts of things. But I never thought, they would be offended. I just thought, but they might not be comfortable. It might not be the best, But even before thinking about my own comfort, I thought it might not be the best arrangement for them.
Right.
My mom agreed, and she said, I think the best thing for you to do is to offer to put them up in a hotel nearby.
Yes, that's what I would think.
Be comfortable. And I said, that's a great idea.
Yes. No, it was the wrong answer?
My mother-in-law was so offended that we wouldn't have them in our apartment.
But it's a 1-bedroom.
Yeah. My Ben explained to them why.
Right. I would have said.
So she was so offended. And the next thing that my father-in-law said was, tell them immediately to move out. And if they can't afford it because they don't have money, I'll pay for it. I'll pay for a year's worth of their lease. And Ellen, was so offended because I was working full time at that point.
Wait. Are they, is he saying you guys should be able to afford a 2-bedroom?
I don't know that he was saying we should be able to afford it, but he's like, if money is the issue, I'll pay for it.
Oh, okay. He just was offended.
Yeah.
Wait, if money was the issue that you guys didn't have a bigger space?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He said then I would pay for it.
I mean,
it was
Jane, honestly, I would have been like, okay. I would have been like, oh, well, if you want to pay for it, I mean, please do.
Please do.
I would have been like, oh, free rent?
Oh,
sure.
Man. I don't know what it is, but I just have a very
pride.
Hard
You have
time.
more pride than I do.
I have so much pride.
So
I'm honest. So I was just like offended on so many levels.
Right. Because
I felt like
it was done
so
in a malicious way.
Overstepping.
Yeah. And also it was misinterpreted. So misinterpreted because you wanted them, you didn't feel your place packed that tight would be good enough for them.
Yeah.
And so you wanted them to be comfortable, but they misinterpreted it as, we don't want you guys here. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's the kind of foot that we...
How did you resolve it?
They stayed in our place. We slept on an air mattress in the living room. Our air mattress had a puncture on it. So Ben and I woke up on the floor every day.
Oh.
They stayed with us like that for 5 days.
Yeah. Oh.
And during that time, like my father-in-law...
who was the one that had to explain to them? Was it Ben that was like, listen, we wanted you to be comfortable. He had that conversation with them?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then did they like actually understand, or would they still upset?
They were like, it's fine. We want to stay with you guys.
Wow.
They wanted to stay with us.
Wow.
And I thought that was so weird.
It's a lot.
It was a lot.
Yeah. I mean,
if it was my parents,
they would not have been
they
offended.
wouldn't have expected that, and they would have said, "Don't even worry about it. We're gonna stay at
Right.
a hotel. You guys be comfortable, and we'll be more comfortable."
Now, this, I think, is the line between Americanized Koreans and Korean Koreans.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
so. And the irony is, when we got married, what Ben assured me was my parents are not traditional. they don't have traditional expectations. Don't you worry. But something switched.
He lied
Ellen.
to you. No.
What,
He
they-
wanted to get the bag.
Oh
You
my
were the
gosh.
bag. And he was like, I'm going to tell this girl everything
or
she wants to
whatever
hear.
I was read in a very traditional way by them, I guess. I guess they just saw me as, oldest daughter.
Yeah.
They see my parents. They see my mom living with her father-in-law, and
Honestly, you compared to someone like me who got kicked out and lived with her boyfriend long before she got married, would seem traditional. But their traditional is like from the deep woods of Korea, Korea dynasty, Silla dynasty,
So Ellen, I think I really fooled them, because I was like, I'm going to be a good daughter. Right? Until I'm
You
married.
pulled one over on them, Jane?
I did. No. I'm going to be a good daughter, like dutiful.
You
when
are
I'm married
dutiful.
and I have my own family, I'm doing my own thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. They didn't expect that.
They did not expect that.
And that's been...
I think they've learned that over the years.
Yes.
I think they've learned that, and that's why now we're at a 3 on a scale of 1 to 5.
And that's the thing that I think most people, we have to consider nuance, right?
Yeah.
3 is not bad.
No, it's not bad. It's not.
No, and the idea that we are expected to have a 5 with our in-laws, I think is totally not reasonable.
No.
You have to be realistic about, it's a big task to merge families.
It is.
Because you love the one person out of that family.
It is.
They could be the most, the best out of that family, and the rest could be shit.
But yeah, just the way that you don't choose your own family,
yes,
you don't choose your partner's family.
Exactly.
You only choose your partner.
And you fall in love with that person, and whatever that they've got going on, you try your best to accept that, but...
Right. It's about acceptance.
Yes, acceptance.
I've
that
come,
should be the goal.
Absolutely.
And acceptance is huge. People mitigate the idea of acceptance. You don't have to be over the moon about people. You can just accept.
They are who they are.
Yeah, and family is one of those scenarios. You don't choose them,
right.
So you kind of deal with what you got. And that definitely applies for in-laws.
Yeah, yeah.
I never had what you had because I married a Filipino family. But my mother-in-law and I still do clash, even though... So her big thing when she met me was that, Ellen, I knew I liked you because you're loud as me.
Yeah.
And we both laugh loud, right? So we are a good time. But even so, and I would rate us, honestly, given our situation, I would rate us 4.8.
That's so admirable.
That is so
admirable.
That's really high.
Yeah.
And it's she gets on my nerves at times. Oh my God. One of the things she'll say to me, which exactly goes back to what you're talking about, how as a woman, you shouldn't make another woman feel, especially because you've been in those shoes, right? So she'll tell me like, oh, Ellen, my mother-in-law, Adonis's grandmother, my mother-in-law treated me so badly. That's why I'm so nice to you. And I'm like, you mean
she wants that credit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, that's why I'm so nice to you. That's why we have such a good relationship, because I would never make you feel bad. Meanwhile, when the in-laws, my brother-in-law, sister-in-law came, the running joke that I had the whole time, she'd be like, oh, do you want coffee, Kai? My sister-in-law. Oh, do you want? I was like, I was not even there. And I was like, hello,
she
mother.
Didn't offer you?
Yeah. And I was like, hi. Oh, you can get it yourself. I'm like, wow. But I'm able to call her out. I'm like, wow, I've become like chopped liver on on the ground
Where
because
does that come from? Just because you guys are much closer than?
yes.
Okay.
I think, but that is
Yeah.
because she's so comfortable
She's so
with me.
comfortable with you, sees you as her daughter,
Yeah.
and you treat her like your mom.
You know, and that's the thing though. It goes back to boundaries.
Yeah.
Because if you get too comfortable,
Oh,
and I'm like, we've gotten too comfortable. She doesn't.
Inherently, I believe that in-laws are not a relationship that you should get too comfortable. There's some people who do, or on social media, I see lots of content about mother-in-law and being chummy, and I see that, and because I've never experienced that myself. To me, that's I very idealized, romanticized, and I'm like, if that's real, then more power to them. But
I will say, in my case, she is like a mother to me.
mm-hmm.
And because I've lost all the mother figures with cutting off from, so we have no in-laws to deal with on my side.
Yeah.
It's just Adonis's side.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of tumultuous periods with her at times because almost maybe like we're too alike in certain ways.
Uh-huh.
We're both social, loud, life of the
Yeah.
party kind of people, and we can butt heads in poking fun at each other. But there's also this element of I do feel loved by her, and I think when you break through that wall, then there is sincerity that's beyond.
I think the sincerity is key.
Yeah.
Because it needs to be genuinely given and then also genuinely accepted on your part that, this is, I feel it. And this is coming because you truly love me and not because there's strings attached.
Right.
And because I feel that this is manipulative or calculating in any way.
Yeah.
That you're going to win my allegiance by being this way. And that takes time and it takes trust.
Yeah. And that's what we have. I mean, I didn't trust it for the longest time, but over time, and also,
Mm-hmm.
she does things that my own stepmother, I wouldn't, like, for example, my stepmother used to make me kimchi. And she would bring it to me, but it'd always be like, you don't return the glassware that I bring it in. You're so ungrateful. Like, and what have you done for me? And I was just like, oh my God, it became a burden.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want to take it anymore because, and her kimchi is the best. You know, the whole thing about people who cook, they cook from the heart. I'm like, I don't know how this kimchi is so good because it did not come from the heart for me. She didn't even want to give it to me. There were times where I'd have to like pull it out of her hands like, oh, this is for me. She's like, yeah, but I don't know if you deserve it. I'm like, Jesus. Whereas his mother is always just stocking up my fridge. And you don't even have to ask her. She just wants to stock it up.
Yeah.
And that's the difference that I recognize and like, wow, this is love. Like there is no calculations. There's no expectations that it's a trade. It's just give because I want to. And 5 out of 5. Honestly, 5 out of 5 because that's real. Yeah. And we may have little tips here and there. Yeah. But our relationship, if I really think about it, is 5 out of 5
That's
because
amazing.
she treats me. I mean, am I annoyed when she wants to take a picture only with her sons? That's so fucking annoying. That's annoying. Jane, that's so fucking annoying, so right?
Annoying.
I'm like,
why?
Oh, her sons and grandsons.
No.
I'm like, oh, and she'll be like, give me those pictures, Ellen. I'm like, no, Mom, post the one with all of us. So those are the fights we have. Yeah. I mean, it's a little, okay, I'm not wrong for being annoyed by that, right?
You're not wrong.
Okay, so those are but it's also like, I mean, as a mother, I recognize you were a mother before I came along with, and that is such a part of your identity and you want to gloat in that, okay? I'm going to let you have that, but am I going to be happy about it? No. But that's nothing compared to,
why is it so annoying though.
It
when
is so
moms
annoying.
Put their sons on pedestals
It's
because we deal with the worst of them.
and we're the ones that care for them.
Yeah.
They don't remember to like date, and they're sitting around like, Mom, can I have this? Mom, can I have that? And we're the ones like helping them out in the kitchen and doing all the work.
Yeah.
But oh my God, my son wants this. My son wants that. Oh, I know. Ben's also a mama's boy.
He's also an only child.
Yeah.
And so there was just a lot of talk of he is my one and only. He is so precious to me. And when those things would annoy me and I would mention it to my mom, she would say, "You're just as precious to me." I hope she knows that.
Aww.
And I don't want her to make my precious daughter feel that way.
Did you guys? Okay, I've been watching Reply 1988.
Oh, I'm so glad you're watching that.
Yeah. Oh my God. You know why? Watching the show, which is your all-time favorite Korean drama, has made me love you more. I was like, this is such a wholesome, good show. It is. That episode. There's an episode where the mom, the mother-in-law is so mean to this daughter-in-law who's lost her.
Yes,
that was the one.
I remember that.
And she said to her, "I'm my mother's precious daughter too." And oof, did that break you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that after you were married or before?
That was after I was married.
Oh my God.
I think I need to watch it again because now I'm a mom.
You watched it twice.
I've watched it like maybe 3 times.
What?
My friend has watched it like 9 times.
That really hit.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm watching it and it's such a feel good. I mean, but with the heart like aches.
Yeah.
I love how it balances, the different feelings. Mm-hmm. It's comical, but also, the drunk dad.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, was I that drunk dad on our live show? I was so buzzed for our live show. I was like, oh my God, I'm the drunk ajashi from Reply 1988. Like, one more shot too, one more. Anyway, I'm really enjoying it. It's
I'm so glad.
I'm almost like savoring it now because it's like,
I want to watch it again now.
It hits at all the points of
it does.
Like culturally, especially as daughters.
Yeah.
The one that gets shared the most on TikTok is that scene where the daughter was like, "Why don't I get eggs?
I like eggs too."
Yeah, it's like that's how I felt growing up.
That's the scene that my sister was healing for my sister.
The youngest one?
Mm-hmm. No, the middle. So my sister is in the middle. So it's me, my sister, and my brother. But the egg scene is totally.
Oh my God, that's right. And I said after watching the show, I said, "Oh my God, Kyungjuya, you're the oldest daughter,"
Pora.
and you were like, "Oh yeah, I am Pora."
Oh yeah.
That is so. And I think that most people, if they don't actually know you, they would be shocked to see the comparison between you and Pora.
Yeah. But that was me, like the, achiever, like studying and stuff. And then
I'm Toksuni.
And then my mom would defend the younger sister, right? Like, remember that scene where, I don't know if you got there yet, but Toksuni wears Pora's jacket.
Yes.
And mom's like, okay, she's trying to like defend her.
Yeah.
Like, protect her.
Right.
Yeah.
But wait, your sister's gripe is that she
felt overlooked as the middle child. Mm-hmm. She felt that I got the attention as the oldest, and then our brother got the attention as the
youngest son.
Mm-hmm. And she was in the middle, overlooked.
My husband's a middle child. And I mean, I say he's the best one. But
he seems very well
he's not
adjusted.
Yeah, he's very he was, I would say, he was, I would say, the one that was most confident in himself. I think it had the opposite effect for him. He became very independent because he was overlooked. He became very like, okay, I'm going to just do my own thing.
That is opposite effect.
Yeah.
Is he an optimist?
Yes.
Okay.
And he keeps me in check.
Most of this situation.
Yeah, he keeps me in check with his optimism. I'm always like, in fact, one of the things that I told my therapist was like, I don't know how this man is so happy all the fucking time. It annoys like, I just want to fucking slap him sometimes because he's so like, he wakes up happy.
That's amazing.
I know. Who fucking wakes up happy? Him. And
I love it.
And he's the middle child. But so often, they have that middle. Oh, there's the middle child syndrome and there's the only child syndrome. They say only child people are weird.
Weird in what way? I mean, I would say like,
what do you think?
Okay, so siblings. So the funny thing is, my siblings know the weirdest of me.
The weirdest of you?
Like, we just have weird inside jokes.
Okay.
We can be weird together. But if you're an only child, you have nobody to do that with.
Right.
Weird.
So people say like only childs are usually like kind of socially a little inept. Because they're not socialized with others.
Yeah, Ben didn't really have that experience. His
Okay.
parents were always working.
Oh, that's right. We discussed this. Yes.
Out.
So he was out with friends all the time. He was socializing on his own.
Yeah.
So he wasn't like the weirdo that was sitting at home by himself.
No,
he was busy.
He had a lot of free reign. And so I think that's that's why he's so well adjusted, is he just kind of got to do whatever he wanted to do. And even though his parents were very traditional Korean in that they had high expectations of him and stuff, he just kind of was able to let it go. And when we got married is when it all came out, like directed to me, because I was like a fresh canvess almost for them to.
And they thought that they could impact you.
They thought they could, and I think they were very had a very rude awakening.
Well, but you did try to appease them
in silent ways.
Yeah, you did try to appease them. At what point did you have like a breaking point where you're like,
good question.
I got to put my foot down?
That's a good question. I think when I became a mom.
Yes.
And it bled into how I was taking care of the baby.
I think actually that's how I became estranged from my parents when I became a mom.
It's such a milestone.
Yeah. Because
you switch from just child to now you're a parent yourself.
And when you think that it's for you, it feels selfish. It feels and our culture teaches us that you can't be for yourself, especially as a daughter. Your only role in life is to serve your family and be all that you can be for your family. But I think when I became a mother, I realized, well, now I have to protect my children.
Yeah.
And that empowered me to say, enough is enough.
Yeah, it makes you bolder.
Yeah.
In some ways.
Because when it was just for me, I didn't think I was worthy enough to fight for myself, or doing that felt so wrong.
Yeah.
But it was my husband that said, okay, he actually literally said, when it was just you, it was about you and your mother and your father. But now when you get into these situations with your parents, it affects all of us. When you go to their house, you come back and you're upset, and we all get affected by you being upset. And the children, when they treat you bad, it affects our children. It affects all of us, because you are the pillar of our house. And that's exactly what broke my family, because my stepmother had her own stepmother who treated her poorly, which is so, like, again,
It is
circling back
so
to,
funny.
and in fact, I even yelled when we finally went our separate ways. I was able to say to her before I said we're done, of all the people in the world that would know my pain, it should have been you.
Oh, you said that.
I did say that.
Mhm.
You would know what this feels like. She was treated
Uh-huh.
so horribly by her
Uh-huh.
stepmother. And she would tell me all the time, like,
Yeah.
you don't have it that bad. I didn't treat you that bad. I'm like, that's your
Uh-huh.
standard?
But that is such a common
Phenomenon, right? The
thing.
abuser
Yes.
abuses.
Like you have no idea what I had to deal. No, I did not.
Yeah.
Because
You don't have it as bad as
Yeah.
me. You think this is bad.
Yeah.
And it's like, why would you want to inflict that on someone else?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think, sadly, when I look back, I think she thought when she married my dad and he had a kid, I think she thought that she could do a better job than her own stepmother did. I think there was a part of her that
I could see that.
Yeah, that wanted to do a better job. And felt like I'm going to have a different outcome.
Mm-hmm.
But she had never healed from her trauma. And that's what I didn't want to carry into my family.
Yeah.
Because that was the outcome
Mm-hmm.
of not dealing with your trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I said to her, too, and she cared so much for the acceptance of her stepmother's family.
Uh-huh.
Because that's all she had.
Mm-hmm.
And they never accepted her. And I told her that too. I said, why do you care so much about these people?
Yeah.
I was willing to die for you.
Mm-hmm.
I am willing to do everything
Mm-hmm.
in my power to try to make you like me.
Mm-hmm.
And these people don't care about you. They would throw you out in a hot minute.
Mm-hmm.
And it just fell on deaf ears.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't, at a certain point, you can only do so much.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as the question goes, dealing with your in-laws and making a family happen, you can only do so much.
Yeah.
And you
I
have to
agree.
be able to know how much you're willing to do.
Right. I think it's up to you and your partner to decide what those boundaries are.
Yeah.
And I would say,
because it could break a family. Speaking
really
of love after
does.
divorce,
Yeah.
that one,
yeah.
that's literally the
It
reason
did.
she got a divorce, right? What
and
was
who
her
can
name?
blame her?
Yeah.
Yeochin,
Yeochin got a
who
divorce.
is wary about getting married again because she's like, I'm not in any rush to get married again.
And the
because-
fact that her whole hesitancy was based on the treatment by her
how
in-laws.
sad.
And when, I never really cared for her
Mm.
story or her character until she said the way this man's family just jumped to love me. Like that was what I'm ready. That made me go, wow. She really wasn't showing. I mean, she was so hurt by her previous experience.
Yeah.
That was what was holding her back
Uh-huh.
in believing marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought the power of it, and that goes back to what you're saying. You have to have a united front
Mm-hmm.
as a couple first.
Yeah.
Because, and you have to, I think the hardest thing is you can't have it all. Unless you make a list and say, what is the most, you do have to make a priority list.
You do. Yeah. And I think it's important to have open lines of communication, not between you and the in-laws, but between you and your partner.
Yeah.
Of how you're going to deal with it. I think there's so many nuances in a relationship between second generation Korean Americans and Korean Americans of the immigrant generation. And so in some ways, like in-law dynamics are universal, but in some ways there's some that are some dynamics that are very specific to our two generations.
Yeah.
And all the unsaid expectations that come with it. I mean, I'm assuming I'm making assumptions based on her question to us that it's probably typical things.
Yeah.
These expectations.
I mean,
being
the
put
question
on her.
felt like home, right? When we
Yeah.
heard it, we know exactly
We're
what
like,
she's talking about. Oh,
yes.
I to this day, I mean, I say I'm so glad I didn't marry into a Korean family.
Yeah.
But of course, there's also heartache of like, it would be easier to teach, Korean cultural things if I did marry someone. You can't win in everything.
You can't.
You got to just look at what you've got going on that's good and.
And also I separate my relationship with my in-laws. I separate that from my kids' relationship with their grandparents.
Yes, I think that's
want them
super
to have
important.
A close bond.
Yeah.
And I'm confident in that we are their go-to people. We are their go-to grown-ups. So earlier when my kids were younger, I was very scared. Like, oh my gosh, they're going to influence my kids and make them turn against me. And I'm like, that won't happen.
Yeah.
How do I know that? Because that didn't happen with me.
Right.
And my parents, I always knew that, if my grandpa said anything to me and I questioned that, I knew it was always safe to go to my parents.
Yeah.
And say like, hey, is that true? Or is that what you really expect of me? And, so
you always
hopeful
made it.
that I'll stay confident in
Yeah.
that. But, my kids are getting older and my in-laws are going to want to, grow their relationship with them. And I'm sure as my kids become more aware, they're going to be, we're going to be less and less of like gatekeepers to them.
Yeah.
And we live in a digital era. I fully expect at some point they're going to be able to communicate directly to my kids,
and
via
they're
text and stuff. But
most influenced by you and your partner. Like that's the main, that's where they see day to day, what you guys are about. And
my boundary for a while has been, I will never, at this point, I never want to cut them off.
Right.
We're their only family.
Right.
And I know that, but I also know how much I can handle.
Yeah.
So if I ever feel uncomfortable or that it's imposed on, then I'll just pull away. So I have like my own coping mechanisms, and at the end of the day I've really had to practice the let it go, let it go, let it go. At the end of the day, we're going to do what we feel is best for us. What they say, just assuming good intent. Trying not to read into all the lines. So I think that's where the play dumb comes in, is if they don't directly tell me this is what we want, so they don't give me like a direct opportunity for me to respond. I'm just not going to stress out about it. I'm just going to be like,
especially when they say things that are, like a little like slip under the table. Like,
and do they ever? Every chance they get.
Right. And you're like,
that used to grind my gears.
Yeah.
But now I'm like,
that's a Korean way, like slipping it in,
Yeah, slipping it in any opportunity you get. Or it's like that disgruntled,
like the little side jab.
Yeah.
Does it really hurt? Well, no, it's not a stab, but
it's just a little poke.
Poking the bear, right?
It's gonna kind of grate at you. But just trying to practice the I didn't hear it, or didn't really affect me.
I think there's also this power in, and I think it's important to not abuse that power, but at the end, I remember when things were when we were younger, when my husband and I were like, actually I think this was even before we were married, but we knew we were gonna get married. Like, he knew I was his person and I knew he was my person.
Yeah.
I remember there was a period where him and his brother and I we were young, and we were living together. It was, oh my God, we were in our 20s and he was super young, and we it was a bad idea. We had him as a roommate, and it just
Yeah.
and that was that I would say
Yeah.
don't do that.
Don't do
That's my
that.
advice. But
Unless you can handle it.
yeah.
I mean,
and we were young, and I was, of course, in the throes of cutting off. Well, I've cut off with my family so much. I
Yeah.
had been kicked out
Uh-huh.
from my parents, and I was very sensitive to the whole family dynamic.
Yeah.
But I remember it got so heated, and Adonis never yells at his brothers, like, ever.
Yeah.
And he was yelling at his younger brother
Uh-huh.
because me and him were fighting almost like a literal fist match.
Uh-huh.
We were about to, I was like, is he going to take me out or am I going to take him
Yeah.
out? It got to that kind of,
Oh my god.
it was so bad. We were like at each other's faces.
Yeah.
Like spit was throwing
Yeah.
everywhere, right? And he had to jump in and pry us off of
Oh
each
my
other.
gosh.
Yeah. And he was like, stop it. Both of you. Like I've never seen him that angry. But he told his brother to back down.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, he told me too, but
Mhm.
he was like, this is the woman I'm gonna be with.
Uh-huh.
And that kind of like stand behind your woman.
Yeah.
When he did that, I knew, but I wasn't like I won. It was more
No.
like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
But now with that power, I was like, I will never break your family.
Uh-huh.
I will never abuse
Come
that
between- Yeah.
belief in me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was like, whatever he chooses me.
Mm-hmm.
And with that weight, with that like full back support,
Mhm.
I will make sure that we stay a family.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's that, but you need that kind of, I think when you have that solidarity as a couple,
For sure. For
that's what
sure.
ensures. And part of me is like, when I hear your story, I'm like, you better let your mother-in-law know, like, you could close the gate, but you choose not to. You choose. It's true.
I have said that many times. If
'Cause
they
you- what
only
you are-
realized, if they only knew
Exactly.
that we can and we would if it
Yeah.
came
If
to
it-
that, but
if
we
it-
choose not to.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think, not like directly saying it, but kind of like letting them know, like little undertone. You can slip a little something
dose
back.
a little dose of their own medicine. Like,
Oh,
yeah.
we could go without seeing you.
Yeah. No, it's not that bad. And
Right.
I'm so thankful it's not that bad. I think it took several years and continuing work
Yeah.
to.
It never ends.
Yeah, it never ends. Never
It's
ends.
and that applies to anything. We always think that we're gonna get somewhere, but just being, in a peaceful.
Yeah. Let's just coexist.
Let's
peacefully
just coexist.
and just know that everybody has their part.
Yeah.
And plays their part.
And-
But the problem comes when there's like a power struggle and you're trying to,
one up. Yeah.
and say like, this is when you're trying to, have authority
Yeah.
over.
Oh,
Yeah,
our
that's where
Kyungju
it's-
couldn't take that. Not my Kyungju. No, and that's the thing. I think people mistake because you have. I mean, I'm very like turned on by it. You're very
it's
authoritarian.
really complicated, right? In like our Korean experiences,
Yeah.
because it's a balance. You
Yeah.
have to balance the respect for elders and that value that hasn't changed over generations and generations.
Yeah.
And really, when our parents came over from Korea, that was very much intact.
Yeah.
And it was intact in my parents' marriage.
Yeah.
And my mom had an experience growing up in the States. And then, she fully expected to embody like that value of, whatever elders say goes.
Yeah.
But I also have learned from her experience of how she has placed boundaries
Yes.
over the years, and in her own ways kind of silently not rebelled but resisted,
Yeah.
but while maintaining respect. Because I fully, I respect my in-laws for
Absolutely.
who they are, but
It goes both ways.
That is so key.
Yeah.
It goes
You
both
can't
ways.
have respect if you don't give respect.
And I think that's hard. I think that's hard for some traditional Korean parents. Is we're always going to be seen as kids.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the hard thing, is like every kind of milestone in our lives has been questioned by my in-laws.
Yeah.
And but we've still gone ahead and did whatever we thought was like the best thing for us.
You forged your own path.
Yeah.
I sound like a weird fortune cookie.
We make it sound so dramatic, and it
Yeah,
wasn't.
yeah.
We make it so
Like you're living, like we're at peace.
We're just living. Like that's yeah. We just live. But
we wish you the best, our listener.
Yeah, just
one day at a time.
know that you're not alone.
Yep,
right?
definitely not alone.
Yeah, and it helps to talk about it, and it helps to do therapy. That's really helped us.
Yeah, and you can do therapy for yourself.
Yes.
You don't even.
Yeah, whether it's for yourself or with your partner.
Yeah.
But just to have a third party.
Yeah.
Listen, a sounding board.
Just to let it out. And sometimes I tell that to Jane. Just let it out.
Just let it out.
Just letting it out helps tremendously.
Sometimes that's all I need is like, I just need to let it out.
You reset so easily once you've let it out. You're like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Reset. All right.
Okay.
Until next time.
응답하라.
Yeochin.